We getting our money back, y'all. Yes, okay. All $41,331 that we had stolen from a wire fraud scam is coming back. And your girl is about to spill the tea. Look, people like me, people like you are getting scammed and frauded out of their money all the time, right? And there are billions of dollars that are lost every year. And I don't want any of my people to have to experience what we experienced over the last 3 weeks, because if you watched any of my other videos, you already know. So in this video, I am going to share with you the 6 things. Well, actually, I'm going to share with you 6 of the things, right? I'm going to do another video on the rest of them, but I'm going to share with you 6 of the things that I learned from being a victim of wire fraud scamming. Actually, I'm just going to say a wire scam, right? Just a wire scam, so that, you can take precaution, right, ahead of time. And even if you are already a victim, or you know someone who is a victim, you can use the things that I learned and some of the things that I did in order to be able to hopefully get your money back as well. Okay? I'm Inez, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel, the best place for Black women who are trying to make their dreams of Black travel a reality, child. I have been to over 15 countries across 5 continents, and I have planned solo trips and group trips since 2012. So no matter where you are in your travel journey, I can help you navigate the next steps to stay tripping. If that sounds like something you want to do, make sure you like this video and you subscribe to my channel. And if you want to get the tea on what I learned from having $41,331 stolen from me via wire scam, keep watching. All right, y'all. So I'm going to get right into the specifics because I don't want to hold you, right? The first thing that I learned with being a victim of wire fraud is that you should not be embarrassed, right? Initially, I was just like blown away. Like, how could this happen to me, right? I read everything. We checked all the boxes. I feel like we did everything right. Whatever. Like, this is crazy. How could I be this stupid? All of these thoughts. Let me tell you, do not be embarrassed. In the United States, people are losing money every day, right? Smart people, experienced people, new people, every people, okay? So do not be embarrassed. Allow yourself to potentially feel the emotions, but at the end of the day, like, it is what it is. These people are professionals, okay? The people who scammed us are based in Johannesburg, South Africa, right? And there is a whole group of people who their main focus is just that, to the point where the South African police, as well as the Secret Service in the United States, are both working to try to shut them down, right? So these people are professionals, okay? Don't assume that it's you, it's them. The other thing is, I had people, that I talked to via text message, or even like I had some comments on my video saying that this probably was an inside job, right? It's not. Right? You would assume that it's an inside job because the way the story goes, if you go back and watch my video, the way the story goes, it's like, how could these people know this much information about you? How could they have timed it so well? How could they are professionals, okay? Professionals. Things like this are usually not an inside job. It is the job of a professional, because in order to coordinate all of these things, from the technology to the payment to the instructions to all of that, like, you have to have studied how to trick people and how to scam people. So keep that in mind. It's usually not an inside job. It's usually a full-time professional person who's just scamming people. That's the first thing I learned. The second thing that I learned is that there is a difference. Fraud is different than a scam. Now, we always use this language interchangeably, right? It was wire fraud, it was a wire scam. It's not the same thing when it comes to the banks. And the difference is liability, right? Bank of America has 0% liability for fraud. That means that if anybody steals money out of my account electronically, if they did it online, whatever way, right? Even if it's through another app, right? Because I've experienced fraud where somebody was hacking into our Cash app and taking money out of our Bank of America. Anything like that is fraud. And they have 0% liability on me, meaning they will pay me my money back, right? Whether they can get it from the person or not, they will pay me my money back. The difference is, a scam means that you believed that someone was a trusted source and you sent them money and you didn't get anything back because they were fooling you, they were scamming you, right? In that case, you are liable. So the only way to get your money back is if it comes from the person who stole it. Now, in these type of situations, usually people do not get their money back. To my understanding, nobody gets their money back. That's why I'm like, whew, the Lord's looking out for us because we get our money back, y'all, again. But yeah, like you have to work with your bank. Usually for scams, you have to work with your bank in order for them to try to get the money back from the person who stole it. And usually, again, because these people are professionals, they've already shut down the account. They have moved the money somewhere else and they transferred it into Bitcoin, some other way that you cannot even get access to it, right? So just know the difference, right? I want you all to be very clear on the difference between fraud and a scam. So although we were looking and searching and being like, oh, like Bank of America just gonna give us our money back and this is the same thing and fraud is the same thing as scam, it's not. And that was very clearly stated by multiple people across the Bank of America organization and in the banking industry. I even talked to somebody who worked for Bank of America who also thought that it was the same thing, and it's not, okay? So you do not want to be a victim of scam. You do not want to be a victim of a scam because it is 90% plus chance you will not get your money back, okay? The third thing that I learned was you have to be the lead investigator on your scam. Nobody is going to hunt and search after your money the way you are, even the people whose job it is to do that. I crafted an email with my mother to send to the bank where the money went, because what I did was I Googled, once I figured out it was a scam, I Googled the routing number on the wiring instructions that we sent. And what the scammer had done was they included an address to a bank called Signature Bank at the top. And there's a Signature Bank in Chicago, which is where our property is going to be. But the wiring instructions also had a routing number that went to a Signature Bank in New York. So they wanted us to think we were sending our money to Chicago, but really we're sending it to New York. So once I realized it was routed to New York, I called up the bank and said, hey, I was a victim of wire fraud. There is an account that's owned by somebody there. I sent my money to it, blah, blah, blah. And they told me, oh, you know, we can't help you. Your bank has to contact us directly, right? So I was like, I can't speak to a fraud officer. No, your bank has to contact us, right? So at this point, Bank of America didn't even have a fraud officer assigned because, again, this ain't fraud, right? Although I had filed a dispute, right? And I had done a recall, right? So you can do a recall to try to get your money pulled back immediately if the transaction hasn't gone through, but ours had. And you also can file a dispute in order to be able to have them do an investigation to try to get your money back, right? So, but I was like, this investigation gonna take too long. I had called Bank of America. They didn't have somebody assigned yet. At the end of the day, time is money. So my mother and I crafted an email and I did some research to find the people who worked in fraud at the bank where the money went, right? Because I'm like, somebody has got to help me. So I went on LinkedIn and I looked up fraud, investigator, whatever the terms were at this bank. Actually, I looked up the bank, right? Because you can look up the actual bank, Signature Bank, New York. Then I was researching who works for the bank, right? And I was looking specifically for people in fraud, right? So after I found them, I went on the Googles and I was like, all right, let me see if I can find their actual work email address. Somehow, through the Googles, I ended up being able to find one person's work email address. Now, if you can find one person's work email address, then you know the format of the rest of the people's email address, right? So after I found that person, I was like, okay, so their email structure is this and this at Signature Bank, right? So after I knew that, I found other people who worked in that fraud department, put the two together, created what I thought may be their email address. And me and my mother sent a mass email to all of the people we could find who worked in the fraud department at that bank, as well as the additional channels. You know how it'd be like sales at Signature Bank or customers at Signature Bank or clients at Signature Bank. Send it to that too. Okay? Somebody was going to respond to me. Why? Because I'm the lead investigator, because it's my money. Nobody is going to search for it the way you are going to search for it. So you have to get into full investigator mode, act like you are the detective, and figure the things out like we had to do as well. So just don't be afraid to buck the system, right? Alert everyone. Alert your bank. Alert the bank that your money got sent to. Alert the FBI. I wouldn't necessarily alert your local police department. I didn't think that they would be able to help us anyway. And also alert the people who the scammer was pretending to be, right? My understanding is, based on talking to people in the cybersecurity space, the people that the scammer are pretending to be, right? So in our case, they were pretending to be our lawyer, our realtor, and our mortgage broker. Those 3 accounts are the accounts that were hacked, not ours, right? So in some way, they got information from them about us and were able to email us looking like them in order to be able to take our money, right? So make sure that you alert those people. Tell them that they need to make sure they change their password. They need to look up the forwarding instructions in their email to make sure that there are no settings on there where somebody has created a setting so that, you know, the person who owns the email gets the emails, but there's also another email address that also gets their emails, right? Tell them to look that up, you know, alert that, let everybody know, right? I was hesitant to let people know because, again, like I said before, I was feeling like, oh, yeah, this is stupid. Like, how this happened to us? Let everybody know, right? You are the lead investigator. The next thing is, don't let the scammers know that you know it's a scam, right? So what happened to us was, they sent us the instructions. We sent the money. We knew immediately, like next day, that it was a scam, right? We never responded to the scammer email saying, hey, you took our money. Like, what are you doing? None of that, right? Then a couple of days later, they sent us another email requesting more money, right? So when they sent that email, I realized they don't even know that we know. That was the day that we sent the email to Signature Bank, everybody at Signature Bank, right? So because we did that, right, we didn't respond to them, anything, they still had the account open and they still had the money in the account. Just what happened when you greedy. This is what happens when you're greedy. Okay, so because of that, that's the reason why we were able to get the money back. Because when we emailed Signature Bank, they froze the account immediately. Once they found out where it went, because it wasn't in the account that we sent it to, it was in another account, but they froze the other account. And then they also found another account that it was in that they had moved money to on the Bank of America side, right? So don't let them know that you know, right? Because sometimes they'll be greedy and that will let you catch them and get your money back. Now, the next thing that I learned is something specifically for the real estate industry, right? If you are new to buying your house, if you are new to buying an investment property, you need to ask your team to hold your hand as if you are a child. Don't think that any question is stupid. Don't think that, don't make an assumption that they have your best interest at heart and that they're actually thinking about, you specifically. They have plenty of other clients that they're also working with, and you need to make sure that they are on top of your transaction, right? If they can't hold your hand, if they can't show up for you, if they can't answer the questions, if they can't answer the phone call, if they can't answer the email, they need to go. They need to get cut. And that's one thing that I learned because I had a conversation with my husband a week or so before this happened about one of the members of our team. And what I said to him was, this person is not thorough. They are not on top of their stuff. You're going to have to be on top of them because they don't necessarily follow up. They don't remember the conversation that we had. They don't send the email back. So you're going to have to be on top of them. And sure enough, this happened. And I truly believe that this happened because that person was so busy doing a whole lot of other things, right, that they weren't necessarily paying attention to the level that they should have been. Because had they been paying attention, when we said that we got instructions, they would have been like, right? Let me make sure where those instructions came from. Because they own the relationship with the person who was supposed to send us the instructions, right? So make sure your team is on top of you and your transaction. The sixth thing is don't wire nothing nowhere unless you get verbal verification. Now, I didn't know this. We didn't know this because we're new investors, but apparently most realtors send you a whole document that talks to you about wire fraud, right? So if you are a realtor, make sure that you're sending your people this type of document so they're aware of it. Also, usually your mortgage broker also is going to talk to you about what's going to happen during the closing process or even the pre-closing process, right? So they'll explain to you, hey, you know, this person is going to send you these instructions, and then once you get them, you need to call them up and verify the routing number, who it's from, and like they usually walk you through that process. Okay, we didn't have either, right? Neither one happened for us. So if you are in any of those roles, make sure that you are doing it. And if you are new to the process, I don't care if you are new, if you're not new, just make sure that people are hand holding you, like I said before. If you wire funds, if you're planning to wire funds anywhere, make sure you call somebody and verify. Bank account, routing number. Make sure that they know that you got an email with these instructions and what the email address was that the instructions came from. Just check, and double check, okay? Please. At this point, we're not wiring money anywhere. I'm like, I will show up with a check. I will look at you eye to eye. Same time. You give me my deed. I'm going to give you this check, right? But if you're somebody who still wants to wire the stuff, like, okay, make sure you check, and double check, all right? And also, if you are somebody who's in the real estate industry and you have clients, it's your responsibility to make sure they know. I was talking to my mortgage broker and I said, sometimes when you're in a profession, it's almost like a fish in water. You are so used to the water that you don't even realize that you've been swimming for years, and swimming is a skill that you have to learn. And so when somebody else comes and jumps in the pool and you're supposed to be teaching them how to swim, you assume a lot because you don't realize how much it took you to learn how to swim. So make sure that you are teaching your clients how to swim. All of the things that they need to know in order to swim in this industry. One of the things that stood out to me, we were trying to figure out, like, how come nobody told us about wire fraud? Nobody told us. So I was looking in our email to see, is there any document we got? Something? Did we miss something? And I saw that there was a line underneath my realtor's signature, right? So she has her picture, she has her information, like a whole banner. Then underneath it, it says like, wire fraud is real. Make sure that you verify, you know, before you send any money. So she had been trying to tell us, right, via her signature. But the problem with that is nobody's reading signatures, right? It's just not happening. Like, it's just not happening. Very rarely, when somebody sends you an email, you read the email, you know who it's from, you may look at their picture, you know, but you're not really going into the details and the specifics of every little thing in their signature. So although it makes sense for her to put it there and it's convenient for her to put it there because she's always sending emails, from a perspective of somebody on the other side, we're not paying attention to the signature. So it's still important to still have the conversation in addition to the signature, right? And that is regardless of where you are in the transaction, whether you're a realtor, the loan officer, if you're the mortgage broker, even if you're a lawyer. Like, all of these people who are a part of our team, at some point somebody should have shared the conversation. But again, sometimes you are so immersed into your industry, you don't even realize how much your clients don't know. Okay, so if you like this video, make sure that you stay tuned, because I am going to release part 2 of this video of the things that I learned from being a victim of wire scam. I've only been a wire scam victim for 3 weeks, but I learned a lot in these 3 weeks. And again, I want to make sure that you all have the tea and you know the things so that you can be precautious, but you also can get yourself out of it if it does happen to you. Make sure you tune in for part 2 of this video. All right, y'all, that's it. That's all. I hope this video has been enlightening and it has shared with you some of the things that you can either do or think about just in case you ever become a victim of wire fraud, or as a way to avoid being a victim of wire fraud, okay? If you made it this far in the video, make sure that you drop me a comment that says it won't be me. Won't be me, okay? Put it, won't be me, in the comments so that I know that you understand and that you're going to make sure that it is not you that becomes a victim of wire fraud either. Also, put in the comments what of the things that I shared stood out the most to you. What didn't you know that you now know, right? Also, share this video or tag someone that you want to make sure also knows this information so that it won't be them either, so that we can make sure to spread this word, spread this message, so that nobody, right, none of my people are victims of wire fraud, okay? If you want to dive into Black travel without booking a flight, make sure you download my digital cheat sheet called Finding Big Fun. It has all of the tips, the tricks, the strategies, the hashtags that I use in order to be able to find cool stuff to do in these travel streets without leaving the United States. Link is in the description. Also, if you want to hear more about this story as it progresses, hear more about my travel, and see me trying to find the time, the money, and the strategy to make my dreams of Black travel a reality, make sure you go follow me at International Inez on Instagram. I love to get DMs from my YouTube family. Lastly, if you love this video, then I know you are one of my people. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel so that you can learn more about how to transform your life through travel. And in the meantime, stay tripping.